A school community still healing from a shooting is expected to give an earful to the Douglas County School Board tonight. That's because the board may only offer STEM Highlands Ranch a one-year charter instead of the 3 or the 5-year extension that the charter school wanted. Give you a live look at the Dougco School Board meeting tonight. The public comment portion has not yet begun. That is a full house for a board meeting in that or any district. The board president said they've been discussing the school's charter renewal since January. The board had offered 3 years, but they did not reach a final deal before the shooting last month that killed a student. So now the board is considering revoking the 3-year offer and giving STEM Highlands Ranch a 1-year renewal instead. They're going to look at, among other things, school security concerns. We need to say on Next last night, we incorrectly reported that the board planned to shorten the school's current charter from 3 years to 1. It's the extension that they're looking at. We'll keep you updated if they make a decision shortly. A Next viewer picks our next topic.
Hi, my name is Joyce. I live in Lakewood. My next question is, would someone explain what a yes vote on question number 200 would be, and what would be a no vote on question number 200? Thanks.
Did you know you can do these next questions in person? We will come to you. We'll put you on the TV news. Lakewood voters, question 200. You're being asked whether the city should limit the number of new homes each year. There's an interesting concept, huh? Politics guy Marshall Zellinger tells us how it would work, and he explains why this special election is happening in July.
Ah, yes. It's a familiar sight and sound. New development is all the talk in Lakewood, at least if you're checking your mailbox. There's an election on July 2nd, though Lakewood voters, you should have received your mail-in ballot by now. You're being asked one question. Should Lakewood limit growth by limiting how many new homes can be built each year? The question is just 3 lines. The actual text of what would become law in Lakewood, that's 14 pages long. Here's what a yes vote means. Lakewood would limit home development to 1% of what existed the year before. There are approximately 68,000 residences in Lakewood, so if 200 passes, the city could only allow 680 new homes or apartments next year. If a developer wanted to build an apartment or condo with 40 or more units, it would require special public meetings, and developers with smaller projects would be given priority. Even with a yes vote, there would be exceptions to the 1% limit if the new units are on blighted land. New housing units for Colorado Christian University and Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design. And if you tear down and rebuild a home, that would not count against the city's yearly limit. A no vote doesn't change anything. The city can continue to issue building permits without any housing restrictions. Here's a snapshot of new residences in Lakewood. These numbers indicate certificates of occupancy, which means a home is ready to be lived in. Last year, 80% of new units were apartments. So who's spending money to get your attention on 200? The 2 Yes on 200 groups have raised $10,000 through May, $6,600 from Edie Bryan, a former Lakewood City Councilwoman. 5 No on 200 groups have raised nearly $300,000, most of that from the National Association of Realtors and the Association of General Contractors of Colorado. Oh yeah, and $50 from Lakewood Mayor Adam Paul. So why is this happening in July? Long story short, this was ready for the ballot in 2017. It got challenged in court, and now there has to be a special election. If this idea sounds familiar, Golden passed something similar in 1996, though they've changed from 1% growth to now 0.9%, and the number of new units allowed in Golden this year, Kyle, 78.
All across Colorado right now, people are going, ding, 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 why don't we try this here? But we'll see what they do in Lakewood. All right, thank you, Marshall.
Our next question comes from 2 viewers in 2 parts. When goats randomly appeared along C-470 in Lakewood, Seth Duvall asked, "I'd like to know why." Well, Seth, the city brought out the herd of goats to help control invasive weeds on Green Mountain. The goats will eat the invasive weeds. Now, I couldn't always tell you what those are, and a viewer named Christine asked, how do the goats do that? Goat Green, the company that provides the goats, says the animal's natural diet consists of weeds before trees or grass. So you turn them loose, and they eat the weeds first. The goats are moved before they get to the grass. They also irrigate the soil with their hooves, and they fertilize it. When goats do what goats do.
It's a pretty exhaustive discussion of the goats, I thought. May I make a recommendation? The Colorado Sun turns 1 year old this week, and columnist Diane Carmen is celebrating the sun by dishing out Burns. She has a brutal column offering a hard look at the state of Denver today, where she sees it. A place where voters want homelessness pushed out of sight and want development shifted to the suburbs. Carmen warns that Denver hurtles down the path to soullessness. She thinks San Francisco has gone this way, where the culture is forced out and only the wealthiest, most boring people remain. Did I mention this is a brutal column? Her closing line made me react out loud at my desk today. I will not spoil it for you. There's a link to the Sun's column on the next Facebook page.
Dry in Denver for now, but those dark clouds in the distance mean business. The potential for heavy rain and lightning after a day with cooler than average temperatures again. Summer begins on Friday, the summer solstice, and will usher in some warmer and drier weather right before we hit that mark. And tonight, the storms that we're watching are moving northwest to southeast and do have a little bit of hail, thunder, and lightning in them. The heavy weather has been in southeastern Colorado in the severe thunderstorm watch area extended out through 10 o'clock. Funnel clouds and large hail around, well, Chivington, Lamar, Springfield, and Pritchett. The areas in yellow still have the potential for strong storms overnight tonight. Tomorrow, the focus will shift further east, and Denver will enjoy more sunshine and a warmer day. The storms move out between 9 and 10 tonight. A bit of fog settles in the morning, and then we get a drier day with more sunshine and just enough moisture for isolated storms. Tonight, heavy showers expected with a little thunder under partly cloudy skies. Our low 52, 80s for both Wednesday afternoon and Thursday afternoon. The highs there. Summer solstice Friday with afternoon showers, and it looks like that trend continues into the first full weekend of summer. But with all of that moisture, the wildflowers up at Green Mountain, Kyle, are spectacular. This shot in tonight from John Colvin.
Thank you, Kathy. Jamie Gillis hoped to be Denver's mayor-elect today. Instead, she was a surgical patient today. She revealed last night the surgeons would need to operate in order to help her breathe again. Perhaps you noticed Gillis's sometimes hoarse breathing during the campaign, during the debates or her interviews. I think a lot of us noticed, but asking seemed impolite, at least to me. Gillis revealed her private battle with tracheal stenosis, a condition that required regular hospital visits during the campaign so that she could breathe. Gillis said that she knew that many voters noticed. I wonder how many voters took her audible breathing as a sign of nerves. Might have reinforced attacks that she was unprepared for the job. We'll never know that. What we do know is that whether you supported Jamie Gillis or not, campaigning to serve the city while fighting for your every breath, that is a courageous and admirable thing to do. We wish her a speedy recovery. RTD is creating a new rule against third wheels. No, for serious. Tonight, the elected board is going to vote on a policy banning their spouses and significant others from taking the place of elected board members at events. And boy, do I want to hear what happened that led RTD to need a written policy on that. You know, Steve Steger's a curious cat. So he went prowling around RTD headquarters to find this out today.
Yeah, we were really curious. In fact, we asked RTD if this has ever really been an issue. Someone's wife or husband just stepping in, pretended to be their elected partner during public events. The agency told us no, this has never been an issue. This is just meant to clear up ambiguity. So here's part of the paragraph they're adding. It says a board director can't delegate ambassadorial duty to a spouse or significant other if they can't attend an event. That sure seems like the kind of policy you make if someone's done something, right? So we started reaching out to board members. Director Claudia Folska, who represents Southeast Denver, told us she believes it's a direct response to her fiance. Director Folska is blind, so her fiance typically attends events with her. She had foot surgery before the opening ceremony for the G line, so her fiance attended in her stead, Facebook Living the whole thing for her. Her fiance says other board members got upset or seemed to get upset when he asked for a piece of ribbon cut to bring back to Folska, a piece of that ribbon that they cut there. And she says she believes that's why her colleagues spent time on this policy.
The fact that we've spent so much time on this, when it really, nothing has been impacted, nothing has changed, it doesn't make a difference. It's frivolous, reckless, irresponsible, and a waste of our oxygen.
So RTD's board chairman insisted that that is not the genesis of this strange policy. He says this was simply a clarification, part of a rewrite of the manual to eliminate any ambiguity that might be out there. So I suggested to him that we wouldn't make a policy against one of us wearing fur hats to do the news, unless someone wanted to wear a fur hat to do the news.
Would I need a policy to say I shouldn't wear a fur hat when I'm doing the news on the air? And the response is, you shouldn't, and you probably know that, but it doesn't hurt to say that, just to make sure that there's clarity in the issue. Nothing is intended by it other than to say, let's just have a clear statement.
So again, he insists he doesn't know of a problem with spouses getting all involved in RTD director business. Kyle? And he says, really, truthfully, Director Fauska said she doesn't want to spend too much time on this issue. He says they've only spent about 10, 15 minutes discussing it. We watched some of that debate from an earlier meeting. But yeah, it's a policy, and it sounds like it's going to pass.
This could be the pettiest thing I think I've ever seen. I mean, it's just astonishing. I would ask all of you at home, do you have any policies at your workplace that exist for no reason because nobody's ever attempted to do something like that? It's just wild. I don't know. All right, RTD, baby. Get on board. Thank you, Steve. Hey, another bunch of folks need an example that this is not how you Colorado. I would say that these parents were acting like children, but you know what? I don't see the kids throwing haymakers at each other. This is a youth baseball game in Lakewood over the weekend. The adults brawling during a 7-year-old's game at Westgate Elementary because they were mad over a call made by a 13-year-old umpire. There were people hurt in this. I mean, this is astonishing. Police have cited some people. They're still looking to ID the guy who was throwing punches in the white shirt and the teal shorts. An embarrassment to all of us fine, upstanding men who happen to own teal shorts. That is not how you Colorado.
Capturing Colorado's changing landscape.
It's cattle country and it was ranching country, and it's now a suburb of Denver, just about.
Their work will help preserve the open space Douglas County is losing. An update on the effort to keep Tabor in Colorado. Not the taxpayer bill of rights, this Tabor. And Longmont is searching for a fugitive. Yes, it's a bird. That's Nest.
Colorado's getting crowded. Crowded full of people who want to be close to nature and instead find themselves trunk to tail with other people. The Douglas Land Conservancy is trying to preserve some of those wide open spaces by first capturing their beauty. Our Byron Reed has the story.
Mariana Duford has seen the development.
It's been kind of hard to see, but you know, it's progress, I guess.
Of the Denver metro area ever since she was a little girl.
We used to ride our ponies to Castle Rock to get ice cream.
Duford is an artist and is in downtown Castle Rock.
The old B&B Cafe that's been here forever.
Touching up her painting skills for a cause.
It's a Douglas Land Conservancy, and it's a fundraiser to help keep all this beautiful property free of development.
She's one of 25 artists from around the country coming to Douglas County open spaces for the week. They are here capturing the views very few get to see on canvas.
Because they're privately protected for wildlife habitat or scenic views or agricultural operations, we feel like most people have pictures or paintings of open space on their walls, and so why not connect the art community with a land conservancy that conserves these open spaces that provide these beautiful views.
The Douglas Land Conservancy says they'll sell about 200 of the artist's paintings at the end of the week, with a portion of the proceeds going to protect open spaces in Douglas and Elbert counties.
Or the opportunity to, have something on canvas that is right in their own backyards, knowing that it's protected by our organization and won't ever change.
Let's see, where am I?
It's a week of art Duford is happy to produce.
We like to see those red dots. That means they're sold.
Before it's too late for future generations to enjoy the views that she grew up with.
They're paving it and turning it into a parking lot, and to be able to see these wild places is really very special.
For Next, I'm Byron Reed.
They'll collect all that art over this week, and then it'll be hosted in downtown Castle Rock. That's where it'll be up for sale. Quick update tonight on the dude named Tabor, who's offended by the potential repeal of Tabor, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. There's now an online petition to protect Tabor Smith. He cracked us all up last night saying, he's a native. He doesn't know where he would go if Colorado voters reject him. He signed the petition, writing, quote, "because I'm him." And someone named Katrina Smith also signed, because she's his mom.
There's a woman in Denver who only works with a select clientele. It's the point of her company.
If I'm not helping save lives, if I'm not helping affirm LGBTQ youth, then what am I doing?
And the search for an illegal bird in Longmont. Nest.
Last weekend's Pride Parade was full of businesses. A few of you noted that. Companies doing outreach to the LGBTQ community have to aim for authenticity and real impact, or else they risk being accused of pinkwashing, of putting on a progressive front just to make money. Our Katie Eastman looks at the business of inclusivity.
Intention and meaning. They're important to Sarah Grossman. A few months ago, Sarah started a marketing company. All of her clients are businesses that cater to the LGBTQ community. But notice the logo on her label. No obvious rainbows here.
It was intentional, yeah.
She hopes this symbol makes a statement that shows her authenticity.
When sodomy and homosexuality were still illegal, men would go cruising and they would wear different colored bandanas in their back pockets to kind of symbolize what it is that they were looking for.
It's not that she has a problem with rainbows, just the companies profiting without paying it forward.
There are definitely some companies that are doing it wrong, just throwing a rainbow on something and selling it because it's Pride Month.
And for Sarah, she never got into the business of rainbows for money. It's who she is, and it's who she lost.
Yeah, he was an incredible person.
Drew Linonen was one of Sarah's closest friends. He was the last person announced dead in the Pulse nightclub shooting.
It has definitely been 3 years of moving my anguish into action.
Sarah says Code Marketing is only the second business of its kind in the country. As she sees more and more companies catering to the LGBTQ community, she hopes they'll think of what all the colors really mean.
I personally think the more people who represent our community and give voice and light and money to us, the better.
For Next, I'm Katie Eastman.
Police generally do not use stock photos for fugitives, but this one is a bird, so we'll allow it, Longmont PD. The city is trying to find a peahen, like a peacock, but it's a hen. So they're illegal in Longmont. And a peahen, similar to the one in this stock photo, is loose. Animal control accidentally chased it up onto a roof on the northwest side of town. So the chase continues. Your feedback tonight is giving us a lot of info about how you feel on affordable housing and what they're talking about doing in Lakewood. That's next. You get the last word with your feedback. Richard Combs among those who tweeted to us about Lakewood's suggested cap on growth, saying, surest way to make housing even less affordable is to limit future supply. That is certainly one side of the argument. Megan writes in about the weed-eating goats along C470. Is it allowed to pet the goats? No. Don't do that. That sounds like a terrible idea. And Tony says, do the goats digest the weed seeds, or are the weeds replanted when the goats do what the goats do? I hadn't even thought about that. See you next time.